Very pleased to see all of you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're very pleased to see you with us. I am Marianne Fideli McLeod. I'm the director of CalPro, and it is the top of the hour. So to respect our presenters' times and our staff's times and all of your time, let's get started. I'm sure we'll be welcoming many of our colleagues from around the state as this goes on, and we'll let them in as they can join the session. We have a very large group today for this session on integrated education and training and IELCE guidance and support. I believe we had registered about 196 people. So for that reason, we're really excited to have all of you and have that level of interest. And for that reason, we're going to ask that if you have questions today, that you put them in the chat. I believe we've disabled cameras and have muted microphones so that our hour can be very efficient and our presenters have the time they need to present. And so please do use the chat function and we will try to get as many questions as possible for each one of our presenters today. There'll be a short period of QA. Me and the team will be looking at the chat. There might be some responses in the chat, and we will try and answer as many questions as we can. So welcome. Today, you are here with CalPro, and I am Marianne Fideli McLeod, Director of CalPro. I'm very pleased to be joined today from the California Department of Education, Dr. Corey Ryala, and Dr. Zachary could not be here, but sends her regards, and thanks you for being a part of this session. Our colleagues from CASAS is Lori Howard today. And also joining me from CalPro is our subject matter expert on integrated education and training, Amy Dowsimer, and our technical support associate, Josie Cleveland. And I believe with that, this session today is part of CalPro's Administrative Leadership webinar series. This series we offer once a quarter, provides a venue for adult educators and administrators to critically engage with experts and peers on topics that affect the development, management, and sustainability of their adult education program. Again, we thank you for being a part of today's session. Our goals and objectives are to increase understanding of IET, IELCE policy, planning, and practice, and our objectives are to review and learn more about CDE, IET, IELCE policy and guidance, CASAS IELCE planning processes and expectations, and high-quality IET program design and CalPro resources and professional development. With that, I am very pleased to hand over to Josie Cleveland to give us the run of show and tech.
Hey, Marianne. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining today's session. We've got a lot of folks here today, which is always really encouraging to see. This notice in front of you is just letting you know that we are recording this session to provide it for our posterity and be able to share it with those who weren't able to be here today. I want to draw your attention with the rise of AI. I want you to draw your attention to the fact that per our contract, we cannot let any AI note taker bots into our webinars. So if you had one and it was removed, that's why. Also, before I move on, if you have any problems during today's session, please feel free to email me at jcleveland@air.org. You can also give us a call to our office at the number you see on the screen. It's also posted on our website. If you are attending today's session with any other colleagues who might be in the room in person with you and whose name is not already in our participants list, please go ahead and put their name into the chat just so that we can get an accurate number of how many people joined today's session. And lastly, I skipped too many slides. Lastly, we do provide certificates of attendance for all of our webinars. So if you are interested in a certificate of attendance, please email calpro@air.org. We do this upon request. We don't do this automatically for our webinars. So yes, that is all I have. I am going to now pass it on to our next presenter, Dr. Corey.
Thank you, Josie. Thank you, Marianne. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, my name is Corey Ryla. I'm from the California Department of Education in the Adult Education Office. Carolyn Zachary wanted to be here, but she wasn't able to join because she's participating in the Workforce Development Board meeting, which is actually great news for California and for IET in California. So we're very happy that she's on that board now. Also, I want to just say a big thank you to Lori Howard and Amy Dowsimer for the practices they're going to be discussing today. Really great stuff. And a big thank you to all of you for being here. I'm just going to set the stage briefly for today's presentation and then get it going. So as many of you know, we are in the third year of a 4-year grant cycle for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Title II, AFLA, Adult Education and Family Literacy Act, which means that we are already starting to think about the next grant cycle. We're starting to prepare that next request for applications, which will come out in August of 26. So we still have another year of this current grant cycle, but we're already thinking ahead and thinking about how IET might be reimagined or iterated for the next grant cycle. Got some work groups that are working hard on that already. One of the things we know we want to do in the next grant cycle is to expand IET so that it's really for all students in California. Right now, it tends to be with the English language learners in the IELCE program, but we'd like to expand that and allow payment points to be available to ABE students and ASE students. So we're looking forward to that. As part of that, over the course of the past couple years, we have been, the phrase that Carolyn likes to use is tightening the T in IET, sort of tightening that training, defining the training a little bit. And as a result of that, this fall, we put out a couple of guidance documents, an IET at a glance document and an IET FAQ document that especially begins to clarify the difference between workforce preparation and workforce training. And those are available on the CASAS website, and Lori's going to be sharing more about those today. On a more fun note, the other thing we're thinking about with this next grant cycle is potentially branding the IET program. We've never really had a great name for it. You know, for example, Washington State calls their program iBest. You know, so we're thinking, what could California's program be called? And to that end, we would like to enlist your help. And so we are planning some sessions where we're going to just talk about some of the thoughts we have about reimagining IET. There's one planned for CCAE, for those of you who are going to be at CCAE this year, and that session will be on April 30th. If you're not going to be at CCAE, we're going to have some virtual sessions, probably in May, that you could attend. And then also in June for the CASA Summer Institute, we'll be talking about IET not only at the California Consortium meeting, which is on Wednesday, June 11th, but also on Thursday, June 12th, we'll have a panel session focused on the future of IET. So that's about the future. Today is about the present and where we're at. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our presenters today to talk about some of the great IET practices and strategies.
Thank you very much, Corey. I don't right now see any questions in the chat. So just a reminder, if you do have questions, please go ahead and we'll be scanning the chat room. I think we can. Are we advancing now to Lori Howard, who I believe, Lori, you're going to be able to share your screen.
Okay, I don't see it yet, but hopefully I'll try again and see if I see it. There we go. Hello, everyone. Glad to be with you today. I'm the CASAS Program Specialist Coordinator specializing in EL Civics and IELCE. And I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the completing the IELCE report and plan. Many of you have already completed your plan. Thank you so much. The deadline for completing it and submitting it electronically is this Monday, the 31st of March. So you may already know all this information, but I thought we'd just sort of review the requirements of the plan. The major difference this year is the at-a-glance guide for integrated education and training. And we've done a number of trainings on this and have been talking about this form. But just to remind you, over here on the right-hand side, the CDE has made a list here of courses that should fall into workforce preparation and not workforce training. They include most basic courses, especially computer courses like the Google Suite Basics, Microsoft Word, keyboarding, first aid, etc. And note at the bottom, the AEO may identify additional introductory courses as workforce preparation. So this is a list that's limited and could be added to in the future, or during the process of evaluation of reports, we might realize that your course perhaps is for workforce preparation and not training.
Lori, I'm sorry to
I'll
interrupt. Would you mind?
interrupt. Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead,
I was just
Corey.
going to ask you to
Were say
expand
something?
your screen if possible, just
Sure.
to make it a little bit bigger there.
Sorry.
Maybe just click the box in the upper right.
I don't. How's that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Sorry.
Sorry to
Thank you
interrupt.
so much. No worries. And here's a link here in the chat. I can put that in the chat for you, but here's our link here. Going over to the left, the workforce training courses talking about the industry recognized training credentials. Here's a list of the credentials we're using this year. And we have clarified a little bit about when others should be used. Basically, we're hoping that not too many agencies will be selecting other, but if they do, that they would be describing in a detailed way the credential that they're offering their students. The second page of this document, whoops, there we go, talks about IRTC conditions and talks about the fact that certificates must be transferable and gives information about that, and gives examples of concentrator and capstone courses in the CTE pathway, and offers a link here for CTE standards and framework, which anything in the other category would, or in a category called local certificate or local credential that meets CDE standards. These CTE standards can be used to see what is there. And then the CDE would and CASAS would flag anything with fewer than 35 hours of training. That's the minimum. And then just to note that if you have 0 enrollment in training, it will be considered that no training took place. Corey, any additions or comments about that?
No, sounds
Okay,
great.
great. The CDE also put out an FAQ, IET FAQ. It's available on the CASAS website, as is that previous document. And again, the link here. And I can put those in after my presentation. I'll put them in the chat if necessary. And it gives information that you should be aware of if you are submitting an IELCE report. I just wanted to go over a few of the things that perhaps are different from last year's plan. Again, making use of the IET at-a-glance clarification of courses and making certain that any courses listed there or of that type would be listed in workforce preparation and not in the workforce training. Again, the delineation of credentials, as we just talked about also. In part 1, it's pretty much the same, but we added the clarification of ELL. Again, as Corey said, right now, this report is only for English learners. So all the enrollment, although your workforce training course may be offered to a variety of students, The report is only for those English language learners. So when we ask you for enrollment in the course, although you might have 30 students, if your English language learners are 9, we want to see the number 9. So the program year English language learner enrollment for each course. And then we added these 3 items: program year course completers. So how many of your students actually completed the course, didn't just attend. And then we also added the credential attainments, IRTC, the credential attainments number, as well as the job promotion attainments for that specific training program. So those are some new additions. And we have just begun the inter-rater reliability training for our reviewers, and we've been looking at some of you who've already submitted your reports, and these numbers are really being helpful for us to understand the complete picture of the program that you're reporting on. Another item that's new is called integrated syllabus. That section of the report used to be called the single set of learning objectives. But now we are asking not only for a single set of learning objectives, but also for the course schedules that are integrated, the courses, the workforce training course and the workforce preparation or English adult ESL course that have combined schedules, the instructors' names. We also want you to include the single set of learning objectives, and if at all possible, we'd like them to be integrated into the course outline of the course, but if not, they can be listed separately. Amy is going to be talking more about this course outline and what should be included there. Quality indicators was here last year, but we have a little bit of new language in that we are asking only for you to describe what you plan on doing, selecting the IET quality indicator, again, with a link in the report and here to see which one you want to choose this year. And then we'd like some details about how you plan to implement that quality indicator, what you plan to do to increase the quality of your program. So here's an example of the top portion of an integrated syllabus. Again, we asked for the name of the course, the instructors, the course schedule. We added this. I know you put it somewhere else in the report, but so when we're looking at the syllabus, it'd be great to know if you're co-teaching or alternate teaching. As we do in California, we have those 2 options. We want to talk a little bit about the integrated objectives, the single set of learning objectives. We've done trainings on this, and I will put this into the chat, the training that we have, webinar and slides about the single set of learning objectives. But here's an example of how the optimum way you could show it to us in terms of your units of study on, for this happens to be home health care aid, I think, that there be a safety unit of study, perhaps emergencies unit study, patient history and vital signs unit, customer care unit or instruction, and that these might be some nice learning objectives. Again, that these learning objectives deal with the language and literacy that supports the CTE skills that are being taught in the workforce training. So you can see we like it to be measurable objectives. So all of these start with action verbs. And again, if you want more information about this, I will put those links in the chat to the training and the slides, a webinar and the slides. The last part of the plan that is a little different than last year is if you are planning some new programs for next year. We asked for just a limited amount of information in the past, but we realized in order to help you plan a good program for next year, we'd like you to describe it further. So we ask that you describe the hours per week, total weeks, total hours, etc., the projected enrollment, the schedule for each of the components and expected start dates, and then describe your staff collaboration, the ESL teacher, work with the CTE, counseling, administrative, etc. And it helps us if you, as always with everything that's numbered in the plan, it helps if you number your answers so that we can find them readily and so that you make sure you answer all the questions. Any questions and answers here? I have a resource slide to just show if
Yeah, we do have a few questions in the
Sure.
chat while you share that. First question, I'm just going to go in order they're received. In regards to a follow-up email that mentioned medical terminology, would it be considered as part of workforce training if it was included in a career pathway and part of IET?
Corey, would you like to handle that? Would you like me to?
Why don't you go ahead, Laura?
Well, so medical terminology, the information that we got from the CDE was that it probably should be considered workforce preparation. But if you feel that it is workforce training, then the CDE would like to see a course outline and other supporting materials, letting us know that you see it as part of the training. Any additions, Corey?
I think that's exactly right, Laura. Yeah, that is one of the programs that's called out on IET at a glance, and generally we are viewing that as workforce preparation. Just before we move on to the other questions, I just want to make a clarification on something I misspoke on earlier. David corrected me in the chat. We are actually still finishing up the second year of the grant cycle. We're about to start the third year, and then there'll be a fourth year. So sorry to rush us through AFLA.
Another question, and we'll take a few right now. Lori, I think we have time. Is
Sure.
the enrollment number only for ELLs who are co-enrolled in the workforce training ESL or for all ELLs in the class?
Well, so we only ask, well, we ask it in different places. So for in the training, it's only for the ELLs in the course, okay, because they're the ones in workforce training. We do ask for ELL enrollment in the other courses also. We want to know, who's in training, who's enrolled in the training, both for workforce preparation and, of course, in the ESL class, we assume it's only English learners, but we did clarify that we're talking about English learners here, because again, this grant is all about English learners. I hope I answered
I think
that.
that's right, Lori. There are 3 columns in the report. And so the workforce training column, you would want to put the number of ELLs who are in the workforce training. If you're in the adult education and literacy column, you would put those students who are in the ESL class.
And the same for the completers. Again, you may have completers, other students who are enrolled in your training, but we want to know who the English language learners are or how many you have. And for the same for the attainments and the job promotions or job attainments.
There are, I think this is a two-parter. How is ELL defined for those numbers? I think this refers back to an earlier part of the presentation, maybe classroom program enrollment, class enrollment. Is it based on CASA score? And the follow-up from the same poster is the integrated syllabus example doesn't use single set of learning objectives. Instead, they are separated out into different training classes. Which format is preferred?
Okay, so let me go with the first one. So English language learner is any English language learner enrolled in an IELCE course. It doesn't matter what CASA score they have, but it is someone who is currently considered an English language learner. They can have a very high score because our English language learners may need, perhaps they were previously in ESL courses and no longer at this moment are, and now we're going to enroll them in an IELCE course to get support for their training, the English language skills support for their training. So the score doesn't matter. I hope anybody want to add to that, Corey, or?
I think that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much more about the instruction they're receiving.
Yes. And the preferred
format of the
right. So the preferred format
the
would be
objectives.
to have the integrated single set of learning objectives integrated into the course outline. That's preferred, but because at the very beginning we listed it as 3 separate things just to make sure people had them, we understand if you have them separately. So we should have probably had number 3 be A and B. What's included in this is a course outline with integrated learning objectives. But so that's the preferred. But if you have them separate, we understand, and we will try to make the correlation between your objectives and the workforce training and English support that we see in the course outline. Another question?
I think there may be two more. Can students who
Okay.
choose English language learner in TOPS Pro as a barrier to employment participate in IET, even if they're in the ABE or ASE program, not the ESL program?
I'll handle
So,
this, Lori. It really
yeah,
is much more about the instruction they're receiving. So if they're English language learners who are receiving instruction in the English language in ESL, in this case, for the purpose of IELCE, then they would be considered IELCE students.
Okay, and I think maybe we have time for, looks like one or two more. The total hours for an IET program is based on the hours they can currently complete in the three components, or the 35-hour expectation is to be done only in the CTE class.
yeah. So the 35-hour minimum is for the CTE class. We would hope there would be more, but we understand that some very short-term programs would have only 35 hours, but we hope more than that. And that is only for the workforce training. The other support, in other words, if it is co-teaching in the same classroom, it would be really tough to have it all happen in the 35 hours, but it's possible, I guess. But normally we would expect that if it's alternate teaching, the 35 hours would be just for workforce training and then more hours for the English support for the workforce preparation or the adult ESL literacy.
And as
Right.
Lori mentioned, 35 hours is really low in terms of what we generally see. That's more our red flag. If we see something around 35, that's when we sort of say, what's going on here? Because most training we see is longer than that.
And last question, a clarification. We have ELLs in the workforce training, but who are not co-enrolled in the workforce prep and or ESL. Should we count those students in the number of ELLs in the workforce training?
Corey, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, if I understand the question correctly, probably not, because it sounds like those students are not IELCE students. They're just sort of incidentally co-enrolled instead of intentionally co-enrolled and receiving the contextualized instruction, if I understand the question correctly.
And since it seems like a yes/no question, we'll make this the final one. A co-op needs 30 hours too, right?
That's right. So there needs to be 30 hours of instruction in the workforce preparation or English adult ESL literacy portion to teach a co-op. And I will put those links in the chat for you as we go along for the rest of the presentation. And you can always contact me at lbhoward@casas.org if you need more information, or go on to the EL Civics website that has all of our webinars and training and materials, everything you need. And you can also email elcivics@casas.org.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Lori.
Sure.
We value CASAS and you personally as a state leadership partner, and really know how busy you are at this time of year. So really thank you for being a part of today's session. And I think you're going to be staying on board as we proceed. So there's a couple of other questions in the chat, sort of mechanisms, I think, about submission of the plan. So if you want to try to get to those here, you're more than welcome to respond in chat. And with that, I'll hand over to my colleague at CalPro, Amy Delsimer.
Thank you.
Amy.
Thanks, Marianne. Thank you, Corey and Lori, also for helping us to understand the policy context and what folks need to do when they're filling out their IELCE reporting and their plans. Building on what CDE and CASAS have shared about that policy and the approval processes and the planning, we'd like to pivot a little bit now to focus on some of the helpful tools and resources that we have for you and your IET teams to design and implement and also continuously improve and even scale your IET programs. And we want to look first at the IET quality indicators and how you might use them in your planning and as you lead your IET teams. As Lori said, they're a part now of the reporting. And I do want to note that I think there's about 100 of us in this webinar, which is amazing. I'm so happy to see so many familiar names. I know many of you have been part of the CalPERS IET Implementation Clinic, and so this is not probably the first time that you're looking at the IET quality indicators. And I'm happy to see you here. And please go ahead and post any questions you have in the chat as we go. And I know Marianne's going to be following along. The IET quality indicators are a set of features that an IET program should really aspire to have. And since they're part of the IELCE plan, we wanted to make sure that you had a chance today to look at them and have access to them. So Josie's just posted the IET quality indicators PDF in the chat. So I would encourage you to download that and save it somewhere. As IET program and classroom leaders, you can use these quality indicators to assess your existing programs and plan new ones. They'll also help you to identify priority areas for improvement over time and develop action plans with your team to incorporate some best practice program and instructional strategies. And they can be used to promote shared learning with your partners and your team teachers. The 24 IET quality indicators that you see in the handout help identify the features of quality programs across the 5 dimensions that you see on this slide. And this includes, first off, IET program design, which refers to the intentional and unified design and development of a program that meets local labor market needs, and provides a pathway to quality jobs for our students, and also aligns with our federal and state IET policies. The second category of IET quality design is that focus on collaboration and industry engagement. And this really refers to the ongoing communication and collaboration with your key partners, employers, in some cases post-secondary or colleges, and your students to ensure the program meets the community's evolving needs, as well as any established processes and tools for communicating and fulfilling your program's vision and purpose with regard to employment and partnership. The third focus of quality design is really on curriculum and instruction. And this refers to having a high quality curriculum that has occupationally contextualized content and includes the 3 required elements of IET design, including a single set of those learning objectives, giving students opportunities for real-world application of their learning, and the use of instructional technology that's responsive to student and industry needs in our modern times. The fourth category is student experience and progress, and this really refers to prioritizing our students' success and retention and completion. And this is through the provision of wraparound support services that can address our students' basic needs and any logistical barriers that they might have in progressing through our IET programs. And the last category of quality IET design really looks at program management, staffing, and organizational support. And this is about using effective communication strategies, staffing strategies, and sustainable planning to support continuous improvement and the staff in your program and within your organization across all the program components. So as I mentioned, these 24 quality indicators are really intended to provide a set of features that an IET program should aspire to have. But this is really envisioned as a tool. These quality indicators are really envisioned as a tool to assist you with continuous improvement. So it's kind of being able to look across these 24 indicators to assess what are we doing well, what do we need to add, what do we want to prioritize for improvement over time? Where do we need to take action to improve the quality? And so thinking about these indicators, I think it really helps to think about them on a continuum. In other words, You might want to first do an assessment, and I'm going to share a tool with you now that can help you and your IET team kind of assess where you are with these quality indicators. And then pick a few that you want to focus on, either adding into your program design or enhancing a current program that you have already where you could strengthen these aspects of your program model. So in order to do that, we want to share with you a quality indicator assessment that comes from the Federal Advanced IET project. This tool will help your team look across the 24 indicators in those 5 key component areas that I just shared, and to identify your areas of strength and areas needing improvement. And the rating scale really allows you to see yourself on the continuum, with 1 being that your team hasn't really applied the practice or developed it yet, that you're kind of in that pre-initiation stage, all the way through to you're in the beginning and developing stages of implementing this quality practice. And finally, the number 4, which is the sustaining stage, which essentially you're looking at it and saying our IET team utilizes this quality practice regularly, and we're able to measure our success, and we know that we're doing it well. So I would really encourage you, Josie, I think, has put that the quality assessment link in the chat. And I would really encourage you to download it. It's also on our CalPro IET virtual workroom site, which we're going to share with you before we wrap up today. And I would encourage you and your team to complete it and reflect together on your responses, and then identify some of the top areas that you really want to work on. So the other piece that we'd like to share with you today is really we'd like to focus a little bit more with you on using an IET syllabus. Why an IET syllabus? What is it, and how to create it? And you heard from Lori, obviously, that this is a part of the IELCE report and plan, and that the syllabus includes that single set of learning objectives. So we do want to explore why an IET syllabus is important to use with your students and instructors, and sort of how to go about helping them to create it if you haven't already done so. Crafting an integrated IET syllabus is considered a key step in developing and implementing a quality IET. And the creation of that integrated syllabus can help your program meet through the creation of it several of those key instructional quality indicators. Specifically, quality indicator number 12, which is that you have a curriculum, an IET curriculum that includes those 3 required concurrent elements of IET. Again, it's that adult education and literacy, workforce preparation, and workforce training. Those are those 3 required elements. And that you're using high quality content, activities, and materials that are occupationally contextualized, and that they're operationalized in your classroom through that contextualized and integrated set of units and lessons. The other quality indicator that the syllabus can help you to meet is the development of that single set of learning objectives that demonstrates and consists of learning objectives, those individual learning objectives that integrate that the adult ed content and state level standards, occupational skills, and those critical workforce prep activities are integrated into your program model. And finally, 17, quality indicator 17, which is that you have an integrated curriculum that reflects the essential knowledge, skills, and credentials that are required for employment in the sector that you've chosen, the training industry and the credentialing that you've chosen. So a syllabus can do a lot for you in terms of meeting these quality indicators. In reality, IET team teachers collaboratively plan and create many instructional resources to guide their integrated instruction. And that includes the integrated syllabus and the single set of learning objectives as kind of the beginning of integrating their learning objectives together and their course outline. but they also are doing that collaborative work on integrating their curriculum and at the classroom or daily level, those lessons or their lesson plans. So teacher collaboration is really critical for the creation and use of all these tools because it ensures both the integration of the skills and content and all three of the components that are required. And instructors understand and kind of more importantly, instructors really understand the purpose of the integration and how it's being carried out through creating these instructional tools. By asking your team teachers to do this collaboration in the planning stages of your IET, it really sets kind of the norm from the outset and the stage for continuing collaboration during program implementation. And today we're going to look a little bit more at the integrated IET syllabi, and then I want to just touch briefly on some tools available to help you with the contextualized IET curriculum and lesson planning as well, so that you have some takeaways that you can bring back to your team. Before we do that, I'm really curious because I see a lot of questions about the syllabi, so I know you guys are engaged in this. Have you used a syllabus in your IET program or classes before? There's a poll, and there's a lot of us in here, so I'm going to give it a minute. Okay, we're at 41%, so I'd love to hear from as many of you as we can. Like to get the pulse of where we are in using a syllabus in our IET classes and program right now. All right. Still ticking up. There's so many of us in here. It's awesome.
And
All right.
Amy, there is one clarification question.
Okay, yeah.
You are asking about integrated syllabus, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Have
thank
you used an integrated syllabus in your IET program or classes, or have you, or I guess it could be, thanks, Marianne, it could also be, do you use a syllabus in your IET classes? Maybe not integrated quite yet. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Marianne. All right, so we're going to publish these results. We have about 60% participation, which is great. I know some of you are from the same programs. So quite a number of you are already using syllabi. It may or may not be integrated. Good question, Marianne. Some of you occasionally do. And some of you have never used it, which is totally fine. That's why we're here, and that's why we're offering kind of tools and resources around quality IET programming to help you do that. Thank you. So we're going to stop sharing the results, and I want to talk a little bit about why are we looking at using an integrated syllabus in our classrooms. What's the rationale and what are the benefits? So as I said, crafting an integrated IET syllabus should be considered a key step in developing your quality IET program. And it's something that programs should really aspire to have. And the rationale for having an integrated syllabus is that it provides a solid framework. It conveys essential course information and it sets clear student expectations. It promotes collaboration among teachers and serves as a tool for program accountability too. So I want to look at how a syllabus benefits the key stakeholders in an IET program. So first, the students, of course, right? But also instructors and IET administrators, program leaders, and state leaders. So first, let's think about students. As a student-facing document, an IET syllabus helps students by providing a roadmap, really detailing clear learning objectives and expectations. It clarifies unique goals and the design of the IET program approach, sort of like what makes IET unique, right? and it indicates that unique course structure and makes explicit connections also to the industry and the workplace. So a strong syllabus can help students understand also what support services are available to them, those key wraparound support services. And importantly, a syllabus is an essential document used in most, if not all, college classes. It's really a higher education learning artifact. So our adult ed students are also really gaining those college readiness skills as they learn to read, interpret, and rely on a syllabus as a guide in their classrooms, right? And as part of their education and learning. For IET instructors, the actual process of developing an IET syllabus encourages that critical collaboration. Team teachers have to integrate their individual literacy, workforce prep, and workforce training content around a single set of learning objectives. If there are two instructors, as is most often the case in IET delivery, the team teachers can use the syllabus to develop and present one voice to the students, really demonstrating a we approach, fostering unity and collaboration in their teaching approach. Instructors also promote student engagement by providing opportunities for students to see the practical applications of what they're learning through contextualized activities and lessons. And finally, for IET program leaders, at the program or state level, the IET syllabus can be a view into the classroom, right? For you as program leaders, it can also be an accountability tool. It's a way to ensure that the federal and state IET guidelines are being met, such as the inclusion and integration of those 3 required IET components. An IET syllabus can also help to focus discussions on continuous improvement as instructors work to refine their syllabi and lessons, perhaps after a pilot semester. And it enables them to deliver a dynamic educational experience that's truly integrated and equips students with the skills they need for success in reaching their academic and their workforce goals. So before I move on, are there any other benefits that you can think of for students, instructors, or program leaders or others to creating or using or having an integrated IET syllabus? I'm curious, are there any other benefits or stakeholders that could benefit from being able to see this integrated syllabus? Just pause for a moment. The chat's very active. Any thoughts about how else the having an integrated syllabus might benefit? Yeah. Yuseli, thank you. Your partners from other agencies, exactly, right? Like being able to, IET is complicated, it's hard to explain, right? And so having an integrated syllabus that you can show to employers or if you're partnering with a college to get credit for prior learning or credit for your coursework, it's a great tool to have on hand. And Juan, yeah, helps everybody get on the same page, especially your CTE and your language teachers. Yep, exactly, Juan. It's kind of like brings the collaboration onto paper. Yep. Evelyn, a correlation between technical and language skills. Right, Evelyn, it really is a way to get you focused on what's the technical content and the occupational knowledge and what are those language skills that are needed in order to develop those occupational skills and the language. Sudi, my colleague Sudi likes to say, what's the language lift that we need here to equip the students with those technical skills and that workforce knowledge. Those are great. Thank you, guys. So I want to take a quick look at at the tool that the Federal Advanced IET Project has developed to help you kind of identify what are those key elements in an IET syllabus. Like what should an IET syllabus include? So Josie's going to go ahead and post the link, and all the links we're sharing today are also on our CalPro IET workroom that we're going to be sharing today. So I would like to just make sure you all have a minute to download this because I do want you to be able to see it. This is a link to the developing an IET syllabus key elements. And once you've got it, you can give me a thumbs up in the chat. Oh, what is happening? Did I just lose?
I'm so sorry, Amy. I did that, but I was doing it in the chat on
Oh,
accident. I am so
that's all
sorry.
right. That's all right. We all have power on this webinar, and that's a dangerous thing, right? No problem. All right, so if you guys could just give me a thumbs up, or I got it in the chat so I know that you're looking at this handout in front of you, that would be helpful to me. This handout outlines some of the fundamental and IET specific elements of a strong syllabus, right? So let's take just a minute to silently look at the first 6. These are the foundational elements in that first section. They're really the elements that any strong syllabus should include and aren't really specific to IET. So thank you guys for the thumbs up. So if you just want to scan it, those top 6, is there anything you notice? Is there anything new or surprising on that foundational elements checklist for you? Like things that should be on any syllabus, not just an IET syllabus? Probably not. These probably feel very familiar to you, right? Because they provide really that logistical information, the general course content, instructor contact information, course schedules, etc. Right? And these are the things that you want on any good syllabi. The next set of elements on the bottom there are the IET specific elements. So I'd like to ask you just to turn your focus to those for a minute. The 8 IET specific elements. And I'd love to know, you can use the numbers 1 through 8. Which of these stand out for you? Is there anything like new or surprising here? Like which one are you like, oh, I hadn't really thought of that for an IET syllabus. So you can go ahead and use the numbers. Which one stands out for you in the chat? Or if there's more than one. 5, Bob says. Thanks, Bob. And 5 is, are the 3 required IET components identifiable, right? And are they offered concurrently and contextually, right? So are they identifiable, in the syllabus, like to the students, so that they can understand kind of what this model is all about? Yeah, thanks, Bob, for that. Any other that are standing out to you as unique or something you hadn't thought about putting in your syllabus as you were designing it? And you can use the numbers. All right. Well, you guys, this is a lot of information, right? So that's why we're providing it to you, and you can kind of take it home and reflect on it, take it back to your IET team. So unlike more traditional syllabi, the IET syllabi goes beyond kind of the academic realm and is charged with really threading all the necessary skill sets a learner needs, right? To accomplish this, the syllabus really requires intentional integration and the use of clear language written for adult learners. So is it in plain English? And some of that, I see that there's a question of, or what does that mean? And some of that's really going to depend on who your students are, right? The level of English in your students. But I think we can offer you another sample syllabi, right, to take home again and think about after today, because our time is limited, that will help, I think, explain some of these questions about what do we mean by occupationally relevant materials? What do we mean by accessible language? And so Josie just posted the link to an IET sample syllabus. Again, I would highly recommend that you download it and use this, right? One way to kickstart the syllabus creation process with your instructors, with your team teachers, might be to include this sample of the patient care technician syllabus along with that IET syllabus checklist. and look at it and say, what is the evidence of the instructor collaboration? What language points to the evidence of the integration of those three required components? Is this successful to our students? And just use it maybe as a model to go from when you're building your own very program specific syllabi for your own IET program. So I'm going to, because I know we're going to run out of time and I want to make sure we give you the resources we promised. I just want to talk for a minute about building those contextualized lessons. And when we do that, somebody asked here, what are examples of occupationally relevant material, right? So contextualized instruction is really about integrating the training content, the workforce training content, with your language and literacy instruction. And it's an approach that combines academic instruction with skill development in your specific occupation or certification program. By contextualizing the instruction, we provide learners with the knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to succeed both academically and in their chosen career path. In contextualized instruction, the curriculum is designed to integrate the academic content, such as speaking, listening, reading and writing, literacy, numeracy, and problem-solving skills with that technical or occupational knowledge. So we want that contextualization to have clear and integrated learning objectives, to have relevance and authenticity to the training, to involve problem solving and critical thinking, to encourage collaboration and teamwork as part of those employability or workforce prep skills, and that it be linked to the real world situations that they might encounter in their chosen field. One tool that could help you with that is Desk Aid number 7. Which is a resource that you can use to kind of check to see, are your instructional materials contextualized properly? And so you can look at a lesson or you can look at a unit plan and use this desk aid to sort of ask these critical questions about, is the lesson and activity using authentic language and materials and tasks that are aligned with the industry standards and that technical content, right? Is the lesson or activity contextualized to that target job that you're training for, and so forth. So these are, there's a lot, we're giving a lot of materials today, I know, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to take these away and reflect on them with your team. And we're always here for you if you have questions at CalPro. So in our last couple minutes, I just want to share a few more CalPro and federal advanced IET project resources so that you have a toolbox and a place to go when you are looking for resources. So the first place to go is always to our CalPro website, our home. This is our QR code, and we're posting the link in the chat for you. Everything that CalPro offers you can get from our homepage to it. But the most important part in terms of our workshop today is about the IET virtual workroom. And the QR code is here if you want to take a picture of it. And I think Josie's also posting the link directly to the IET virtual workroom. Thank you, Josie. The virtual workroom includes 17 libraries that really help to bring IET classrooms and programs to life. And I really recommend the video library because, a picture can say 1,000 words, right? And these videos really help you to see how people are doing IET and what their classrooms look like. There's also a section with some critical IET resources, and you have access to a 2-hour self-paced online course on IET fundamentals there too. We have hot off the press, our new evidence to action research brief, IET in California, that I'm really happy to share. Some of our authors are program leaders, IET program leaders who co-authored the brief are on our webinar today, and I would really encourage you to check this out. It provides great examples, not just of guidance and examples from our PD, but also more importantly, there are case studies and examples from your colleagues who are doing IET in California. On the CalPro IET Virtual Workroom, you can find the IET Design Toolkit, which walks you through the 4 critical phases of IET program design and implementation. You can also find that self-directed online IET course that I talked about, which is great if you have new staff or partners and you want to give them kind of a quick 2-hour way to learn about IET in a self-paced fashion. And finally, I just want to share the IET resource repository. And I think Josie's going to put the link to the chat. This is a great, this is part of the Federal Advanced IET project. There are a lot of curriculum and instruction resources in here, in addition to these other categories you see about collaboration and industry engagement and IET program design. And this is a great place to go if you're looking for curriculum and resources from other programs in California and around the country. And with that, I know we're at time. So I want to thank you very much for being here, and I am going to turn it back to Marianne.
Thank you so much, Amy. Really appreciate you being a part of the CalPro team and this session. Want to encourage everybody to please check out CalPro's IET resources. Bob, I did see your question above about please offer training and strategies with respect to current IET policy. I want you to know that as CDE's policies change and evolve, so too does CalPro's IET virtual workroom and all of our resources to assure alignment. And I would suggest we offer through CalPro twice annually an IET clinic for programs. It's several months of training and one-on-one coaching with experts like Amy Dalsimer, as well as some of the field-based experts we work with regularly, to plan soup to nuts on how to plan and implement high quality IET. With that, I want to say thank you very much to all of our presenters, Lori Howard from CASAS, Corey Ryala from CDE, of course, you, Amy Dalsimer from CalPro, and thank Josie Cleveland for your exceptional support for today's session. Thanks to each of you for joining us, and we look forward to working with you. Please reach out to, I think, any one of us who are on today's session. Lori and Corey, happy to give you a final word.
I'll just say thank you again. I really appreciate all the great work that CalPro and CASAS do. As a reminder to everybody, they are 2 of our state leadership projects, which are paid for through the AFLA dollars, and we could not do it without them. That it's not an understatement.
Have a great day, everybody.